Okay, so this is a case, the affirmative case for Edward de Vere. The question of the authorship of Shakespeare's plays has been the source of controversy, with many claims that Shakespeare is not the true author of the famous plays that bear his name. Shakespeare, a man whose life has been shrouded in mystery, with little information of him existing. Yet we are compelled to believe that this man, we know very little about, wrote these magnificent works of art. My partner and I, however, refuse to blindly accept that the man known as William Shakespeare is the true author of these great works. Therefore, we stand resolved that the works of William Shakespeare should be attributed to the true author, Edward de Vere. At this time, I would like to offer the following facts. But first, definitions for words you may not know. Shrouded, which is to cover or envelop so as to conceal from view, and immortalize, which is to confer enduring fame upon. So on the website absoluteshakespeare.com, I found information of Edward de Vere's love of poetry and plays. Now you may say, how does his love of poetry and plays, which are things many people love, mean that he is the author of Shakespeare's plays? Well, with the following information, I will show you why this is a very crucial piece of evidence as to why he is the author. In de Vere's youth, he fell in love with poetry and plays. He even performed in plays around the same time that Shakespeare did, which is very important. This is an important fact because it shows that de Vere would have learned the ins and outs of playwriting. Another crucial piece of evidence is that Shakespeare's poems and plays are very well written. And there is evidence that Shakespeare dropped out of school at 16. So, with de Vere going to Cambridge College, Queen's College, and St. John's College, where he excelled at writing and learning, and where he learned Italian and Latin, this would show that de Vere had the skills to write these works of art, and Shakespeare would not. One of the major arguments against de Vere's authorship is the timeline, because de Vere did indeed pass away in 1604, and there were 12 plays that were published after 1604. The information I found on de Vere's society and some information from a investigator of this, of the de Vere and Shakespeare controversy is Joseph Sobran. So however it is believed that the plays may have been published after 1604, they very well could have been written before this, because there is no mention of science after de Vere's death, including the supernova of 1604 and Kepler's revolutionary study of planetary orbits. Many believe that the dates of the plays were developed by scholars to fit within Shakespeare's timeline. So, you may also say, how can somebody who is dead have their plays be published? Well, Emily Dickinson, who is a great poet who died in 1886 without having her work published, had her sister 4 years after her death published them. So it shows that people can indeed pass away and then have their work published. So Joseph Sobran observed, author of the sonnets expects and hopes to be forgotten, while he is confident in his poetry that it will immortalize his young friend, not himself. He says that his style is so distinctive and unchanging that every word doth almost tell my name, implying that his name is otherwise concealed. His young friend very well could have been Shakespeare, who he could have been in plays with. Therefore, we can come to the conclusion that the rightful claim to the authorship of these timeless works does belong to the Earl of Oxford, Edward de Vere, and he should be recognized as the author from here on out.
This is the negative side, a case for William Shakespeare. Who wrote the works of Shakespeare? A man who was creative, ambitious, and self-reliant. All these describe William Shakespeare. My partner, Kaden Lopez, and I say yes. We believe that William Shakespeare is the true author of some of the greatest works in literature. Therefore, we stand resolved that the works of William Shakespeare should be attributed to him and only him.
No, it was probably just like placed wrong.
This brings me to my points.
No.
This brings me to my points on
I tried this one.
why
It still hasn't done
they
that.
should be attributed to him. My partner and I believe that William Shakespeare is a true author of the works and not Edward de Vere. First off, Edward de Vere was not allowed to write because he was an aristocrat. An aristocrat is someone of high social order, or
Did you go, how do you paste your pictures?
it's just meant he was forbidden from writing.
Well, yeah, I was doing it.
Another huge event is Edward de Vere died in 1604, and after that time, Shakespeare published new plays, which ended around 1613.
Click on, like,
And also,
click on the bottom.
William Shakespeare went to grammar school at King Edward VI Grammar School. He was believed not to have a very well education, but at this school they taught basic grammar, basic reading, basic writing, and that's according to absoluteshakespeare.com. And also,
Alright,
Okay,
so
so, click on, and if you need to adjust it a little bit at the end, then click on it, and then make it smaller. Yep, see that? Okay, so but make sure you have your.
also one other point I would like to bring up is,
Okay?
why would Edward de Vere just give his plays to Shakespeare
And then type
to hand down all of his,
Okay?
what he has acquired through these plays to his son and not de Vere himself?
Okay, get it done?
4
Now
minutes.
make sure you share it with E. Rodriguez.
Okay, hold up. Computer went off.
Okay?
So did you record me?
I
Was it
think,
off the whole time?
yeah, it is recording, I think.
Daniel, you doing okay?
Oh,
I
so
shared it over and deleted some.
It is.
What did you have on there?
I have,
I hereby announce that the works of William Shakespeare should be accredited to the man himself, because nobody, whether concealing his identity or simply presenting himself under a
Did you
different
share it
title,
with me just now?
would give his credit to somebody else. Edward de Vere may have been a gentleman and a scholar, but why would he give his credit to William Shakespeare when he could hear his name called as a famous playwright known for such acts as Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, and Othello? Something about seeing my credit go to someone else is unsettling, and as a songwriter myself, I can almost put myself in those shoes. You write a song or play, you take pride in it, and it becomes your own. Edward must have dreaded the fact that the day he died, his creations would forevermore be under someone else's name or questioned by the masses. Thankfully, he died 12 plays early, and William Shakespeare was able to continue his works without interruption. When one questions his education and whether or not he is illiterate, ask yourself this instead. Did someone have to teach you that flowers look pretty or fast cars are cool? Or did you just learn that on your own? Shakespeare may have not attended much schooling or any at all according to some claims, but creativity and expression are acquired through time and experience. Basically, the fingers have always pointed to William Shakespeare, and Edward de Vere is simply a man being falsely credited for another man's work. Thank you very much.
My partner and I resolve in thinking that De Vere is the one true author of these stories, and anyone who believes that a man with no prior sort of education was able to write such works is positively improbable. Therefore, be it resolved that De Vere be the sole author of these works. At this time, I would like to give the following cases. First, there is the fact that every painting of Shakespeare is different, and that one is merely layered over another. Also, there was the play of Hamlet, how the character and De Vere's lives are so similar. Also, Lord Burghley's life is said to have been parodied as the character Polonius, and only a person with intimate knowledge about his life could do so. As well as Edward de Vere fits the historical assertion in Sonnet 125 that Shakespeare bore the canopy over Queen Elizabeth in her victory celebration over the defeat of the Spanish Armada. Let us not forget that in court, Edward de Vere's nickname was Spear Shaker due to his ability to both at tournaments and because his coat of arms featured a lion brandishing a spear. De Vere graduated Cambridge University at age 14, and his Master of arts degree at age 16. Also, in view of plays like The Merchant of Venice, which discusses law, let it be noted that De Vere studied law in Gray's Inn. Furthermore, account books show that De Vere had a library underlying his qualifications to write as knowledgeable as Shakespeare. Guys, I think it's not recording. The screen just went black. Oh, okay. Now, as to what my people said on the other side. Okay. Even though that Shakespeare was not a large problem with Edward de Vere authoring Shakespeare's work is that, in fact, that he did die in 1604, but this was before roughly 12 plays were ascribed in Shakespeare were composed. However, Sir Edmund K. Chambers, a noted Stratfordian, agrees that standard dating of Shakespeare's plays is sketchy at best.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, I move that we rectify that De Vere be named the sole author of the plays and poems. Yeah. Stop it.
So what?
Stop it.
Time's about to go off.
And then do the same thing. And share it with E. Rodriguez.
I know, that's why I was about to go. Who's next?
Hola.
Anyway. I hot my crazy girlfriend.
Alright, let's just finish this real quick. Okay, so are we ready? Okay,
Hey people, shut up!
everything. Okay.
Shut up!
The points that they brought up were that they contradict themselves when they say that Shakespeare wouldn't, or De Vere wouldn't want his works published by someone else because it's his own works and he would want the credit for it. However, Anthony, in his argument, said that De Vere couldn't write these poetry or these plays and poetry because he would be. Oh my God! We're recording. I know. Okay.
Tackled him?
He didn't get me down. So. Alright, so I'm just gonna start over.
You want to start over?
Unless you want a video of Charles tackling.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, just go from the last one you said and I'll edit that part
Just be
out.
like, sorry, you know.
Okay, so
Sorry for the interruption.
so therefore Shakespeare would be, because he wasn't allowed to write poetry or plays, he would want to find someone who had a lesser name to publish them for him, so that is why their argument is wrong.
Okay,
I swear.
James gave some good reasoning, but I don't think it was good enough. He did not give enough evidence. He
I
did
didn't
not
get
make
tackled during it. Wait, sorry, are you mad when someone's
He
interrupting
did not
you
make it
during your
complete.
speech?
They lost right now, so he's trying to interrupt us. Our facts were backed up by evidence, and we won.
Alright, I'll make this short and sweet. William Shakespeare may not have been well educated, but he was capable of writing these plays. I just don't understand how Edward de Vere's name is mentioned when there's few related pieces of evidence to William Shakespeare's works. He was intelligent and educated, but this is irrelevant when talking about someone else's name. William Shakespeare is and always was the rightful owner of these plays.
Damn straight.
That's a team. Go up there and do your thing.
Names, I was not part of that.
Against each other.
All I could do was watch.
Just don't stare at the camera, bro.
That is
Say
awkward.
something. Anything.
I will get
Just say something. You got 1 minute.
Even though that my partners, not my partners, even though that my opponents have been presenting facts, that they are unbacked facts and unreliable at the same point. So, and they have only been repeating themselves this entire discussion, which means they are all out of discussion points. So, we win.